What's the deal? It's your boy Jay Will, also known as James Williams, and I recently went from living inside of my car to making multiple six figures in less than a year, right? And really, it was less than 60 days when I first made the six figures. And the thing now is, I have a goal to be able to help people cross that line, right? And what exactly is the line? The line is that mental barrier that we go through where we struggle with believing that we can make it out of something or that we can actually become or do the thing. And one thing is I like to teach in frameworks because I say that frameworks is how our brain works. And one of the biggest frameworks that came to me was learning that it goes mindset, skill set, work habit, result. Mindset, skill set, work habit, result. During the time in which I was homeless, I'm sleeping inside of my car. I'm randomly going to different spots throughout Atlanta because that's where I decided to come down to. And I'm sleeping inside of my car. And I'm going to eat the continental breakfast at the hotels. I'm sleeping behind the Planet Fitness. I'm driving Uber. I'm trying to do random things. I'm putting all this stuff inside of my storage unit. I'm trying to get back inside the storage unit because they close at 9 because they know people be sleeping inside of them. So I didn't have the 24-hour access for a while. Like going through that whole process, there was still something in me that said, no matter what happens, I'm going to win. I don't know how. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know who's going to help me do it. But I had the belief that I was going to do it no matter what. And I did. And it happened way faster than I thought that it actually would. And I contribute a lot of that to be able to have the mindset because I believe that your mindset has a lot to do with your belief system. And if you don't know how to transition your thoughts from something that might be negative to something that might be positive, because let's be honest, our brains was wired for survival, not for us to be able to thrive in life. So a lot of the times when we are going through certain things, we only think about how things are going to get worse, how things are going to be more negative. And that's it. That's all we think about is how things are going to get worse, how things are going to be more negative. But when you learn how to take control of your mind by investing in your mindset, everything will change. But let's talk about what that actually looks like because a lot of people say mindset, 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 mindset. What does mindset actually mean? How do you actually transition to have a better mindset? One thing that I was doing every single day, right, was prayer, affirmation, and watching like motivational videos. Now, the motivational videos ain't for everybody. The prayer ain't for everybody. The affirmations ain't for everybody. I tried to do whatever I could to make my mind be where it needed to be, whatever I had to do. And I think a lot of people are sleeping on that. I think a lot of people are sleeping on being able to put positive things inside of your mind. I tell people all the time that we spend so much time on our phones, but not using the phone to grow ourselves. You got to think that every time you get a notification is nothing but a public display of other people's priority on your life. Every notification is just a public display of other people's priority on your life. And when we think about how many dings, ticks, all the text messages from like Fashion Nova and like the emails from all these subscriptions and all the social media random things popping up. Oh, look what just happened. Trump did this. This was on fire on the east side of Detroit. Like we have all these different things that is constantly dinging us and it's going ding, 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 ding. And every single last one of those things are pulling from us. And we have to figure out, well, if all these things are pulling, how do we pull back? Or how do we make sure that every time, because you got to think about your attention, your life, everything like that is a bucket. And the moment that things start to pull, it starts to lean a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And eventually it starts to spill. And when it starts to spill, what happens? You become empty. But when there's so many days of spillage, it's like the bucket is upside down and it's being shaped and there's still nothing coming out, right? And that's how we get to the point of not making good decisions and such, is because we have had so much pouring out of us and nothing pouring into us. And I have to say this because some of us is what we call the strong friend. We're the strong friend of the strong friends, right? And when we're the one that's constantly giving other people energy, constantly pouring into other people who pour into us. This is why it's very important to pour into yourself, which is why I emphasize prayer is massive. Now, you don't have to share the same faith, religion, any of those type of things as me. That's perfectly fine. But that is a thing that helped. If prayer is not your thing, but let me focus on this for a second. When I was praying, the thing that I asked for was clarity, because clarity is going to help you a lot with your confidence. The clearer you get in your vision, other decisions become easier. Because a lot of us don't really know what we want. We say that we know what we want, but we don't really know what we want. But one thing we know for sure is what we don't want. So writing down things that we don't want helps out a whole lot with understanding what we do want. And I'm not saying pray for what you don't want. I'm saying write that down and then start thinking about whatever the opposite is. Because if you know you don't want pain, you get to say, yeah, I don't want pain. But what and now we got to start thinking about what does pleasure look like, and that's a little bit harder to think about. But praying for clarity and discernment on what do you need to do and what do you need to be, who do you need to become to go to the next stage of your life. The other thing was the affirmations. So there was something that I said every single time, like every day I had this. And I actually got this from a program, a mentorship program I was in when I was younger. And the saying is, I am a man, I am strong, I am powerful, I am intelligent, I am a head and not the tail, I am influential, I am above and not beneath, I am the master of my own destiny, and I am my brother's keeper, right? So I would say that, and I'm like, okay, cool, yeah, I am strong. I am confident. I am intelligent. I am a head and not the tail. I am above and not beneath. And having those things constantly programmed into my mind so that no matter what happened in my life, I knew that even if I felt like I was down, I was still above and not beneath. No matter what happened inside of my life, no matter what circumstances came about, I was still the master of my own destiny, right? So all these things constantly saying it to myself, it's almost like brainwashing yourself. I have to brainwash myself to get to the point that I'm at now. And then another thing was waking up and watching the motivational videos. So a lot of the people who I listened to was one myself because I had a bunch of videos that was unlisted, and I might end up listing them at some point. And a lot of videos, 'cause I used to just record myself talking in the morning about different things. And when I was younger, I recorded notes to myself. And if you are younger and you're watching this, record notes to yourself about your future self. So if you ever fall off track, you can come back to it and get back on it. You'll remember what your original goals were. But myself, I listened to a lot of Tony Robbins, a lot of Eric Thomas, a lot of Zig Ziglar, even some Alex Hermosi for like business stuff. A lot of Myron Golden, a lot of these different people who I'll be listening to, Les Brown, what was his name? Bob Proctor, like these people who really focused on the mindset factor. Because as I said, it's mindset, skill set, work habit, result. And what I notice is they'll talk about their struggles and the things that they went through inside of their life. And I started to think about the things I was going through inside of my life. And I'm like, man, like the motivation thing is not just for motivation sometimes. It's for becoming more optimistic, especially if you plan on being anything inside of the entrepreneurial or like business realm. I feel like you have to be delusionally optimistic, because if you are not, this stuff do not make sense. Things go wrong, it's instantly your fault. Even if you didn't do it, your employees might have done it. You got this thing happening, that thing happening. You got to wear this hat and that hat. You got your relationships over here. You got your business over here. You're trying to cater to your business, but you're losing your relationship. You start losing your relationship. And you start like, all right. So it be so many moving parts, so many decisions that you have to make. And it can be very easy to become pessimistic during those times. And I believe that those videos and watching them every day and programming myself was one of the biggest things that changed how I thought and was able to navigate through life, was being able to become significantly more optimistic. Significantly more optimistic. And I'm happy that I did it, because honestly, the mindset is just the first step, but it is one of the biggest shifts you can make. Because even if you have the skill set and the work habit, sometimes that's still not enough to get you to where you need to go. Because a lot of times what I found is, even if you have the skill set and the work habit, if you don't have a proper mindset, you will self-sabotage, because your mindset is tied to your beliefs. And I'm pretty sure some of us can think of a time where we self-sabotaged in like the last week, probably today, where we had an opportunity, or you can think back to a time where you had an opportunity, you had all the capabilities to do it, but something made you not. Whether you decided to not go to the thing because you tired, sleepy, you'll come up with some other excuse, but we know deep down inside that maybe we felt a little bit inadequate. Maybe we didn't feel like we was ready. Maybe we didn't feel like we was up to a challenge. And a lot of that is just the belief system that ties right back to your mindset. So mindset is one of the biggest things that took me from homelessness to multiple six figures inside of my business. And I'm still consistently building. I'm gonna tell you about the next one with skill set and work habit in the next video. See y'all soon.